faith-based entrepreneurs are stuck under $1 million, not because of strategy, but because they're leading like managers, not like visionaries. Today, we're going to explore the number one mistake that business leaders make that keeps their business from breaking through to that next threshold of success. Now, I don't know at what point in time in your business you're at. Maybe you're just about to break that $1 million benchmark. Maybe you're well beyond that and into the 10. Great. This is still good for you because I'm sure by now you're understanding the importance of vision leadership, not just managing. If you're not there yet, and maybe you haven't broken your $100,000, this is incredibly crucial for you because it's going to give you an opportunity to start to set in the proper foundation, because you're going to see that it's not just on you. You're going to have to develop this skill of vision leadership in order for you to effectively build a business that is going to outlast the change of times. Because maybe you've seen it. Times are changing. Between technology, politics, and business, there's a lot of shifts that is happening. And that is not a bad thing. The only constant to life is change. All we got to do is we got to adapt to the change. We can't get stuck with where we're at, thinking that where we're at is going to help us get to where we want to get. More than likely, what got you to where you're at today is not going to be what you're going to need to do to get you to where you want to go. There is going to be an ongoing evolution that you're going to have to take on for yourself as a leader in order to have your business grow. Now, why is this important for you to start to focus in on this vision leadership and not just management? Because if you are looking to scale your business and you find yourself in the operational day-to-day, you're going to be stuck in the weeds. And that is not the place where you want to be. I'm sure by now you understand the importance of working on the business compared to working in the business. There's going to be a season for both. You're going to have a time where you're going to be working in the business, in the day-to-day, on the tasks, in the quote-unquote weeds. And then you're going to have the ability to step into working on the business. The more that you work on the business, the more that it's going to give you the ability to take a step back from being in the weeds. Now, I don't know what your role is. If you're here right now listening, you more than likely hold a leadership position within your organization. This is really crucial. Because as you're operating and working within your team and you're unsure as to what your team is moving through and what they could use support with, this is going to be a massive blockage for them, which is going to impact the growth of the business. So you must be clear that even if you're in a leadership position that is no longer working in the weeds yourself, there must be a level of communication with your team. There must be a level of connection and conversation. So for you to be able to understand, where is the team at? What do they need support with? How could we help them grow beyond where they're at right now? Now, why is this important? Because many leaders confuse managing with what really actually moves the ball forward in business, which is developing the proper vision for the business, which is establishing a really clear culture internally and optimizing on the systems and processes in place. Now, the vision, why is that key? The vision is going to be that thing that's going to move the team forward as to where they want to go. The culture is going to be the how the team operates to get to that North Star. We'll talk deeper on that in a second. If you don't get yourself out of working in the business and you find yourself there and you don't take a step into working on the business, you're going to find yourself in a place where you're going to be reactive more times than you should be. If you find yourself in a place of reaction consistently, this is going to be really supportive for you, because maybe right now you don't know what to do, or maybe what you think you're doing is supporting the growth of the business, but maybe it's not. But instead of being in a reactive mode, what would your day-to-day look like if you were to be in a responsive mode? What would it look like if you were to be able to lead with clarity instead of being reactive? Because this is where the team is going to really need you. If you are here listening to this right now, you are leading people. You're responsible for helping them develop onto that next level in their careers. And leading with clarity is going to be incredibly pivotal for you to be able to help them take the actions that they got to take in order to effectively grow. It's real simple. You have to take the responsibility. Now, I understand, maybe you haven't been equipped with the tools yet. That's fine. That's why you're listening to videos like this. That's why there's so many resources out there that you can plug into that can support you in developing the type of leadership that's going to help you become the visionary, and again, not the micromanager. You don't want to be the person that is managing people. You want to be able to be the one that creates vision and then inspires the person with the proper clarity to have them manage themselves. Because the last thing you want to do is become a babysitter at work. You're not putting in the time and the effort and the energy into building your business so you can be a babysitter for others. They, right now, are taking up resources that could be used for someone that could actually be taking the initiative. Your role, however, is to make sure that you have the right people in the right seat, on the right bus, headed in the right direction. That's your role. And it takes time. I understand. To build a culture requires, I don't think it ever ends. I think that in business, in order for you to establish a really deeply nurtured culture that is aligned with your values, you must have an ongoing adaptation and evolution, because the marketplace changes, your employees are going to shift, people are growing. All of this is going to be required, or all of this will require of you to be in a place of vision leadership, not just management. So let's take a look at what is going to be supportive for you in order to step into this. I already mentioned it, but let's go deeper into it. You need to step into being the visionary CEO. You need to be the one that has the vision so clear in your mind that regardless of where you're at, what's going on, you can have that sense of clarity forward. This vision is going to be the thing that's going to drive the team to take action on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're experiencing the day-to-day and the team is feeling overwhelmed. Maybe they're anxious, maybe they're stressed, maybe all the clients are upset, maybe systems and processes aren't working, maybe there's some internal conflict going on. Whatever is going on, the vision is going to be really crucial. People that are bought into a vision are much more prone to take action and engage for the long term. Scripture tells us, without a vision, the people perish. Think about that. If you really meditate on what that means, perishing is like the dying off. It's like the fading away. It's like the rotting away. If there is no vision, is it possible that right now the business is fading away, rotting away, going away? Maybe you have a vision in your mind internally. Great. Does your team know that? If they don't know that, consider that they don't have a vision, or worse yet, they have their own vision. And that's even more dangerous, because maybe they are taking the business to where they want to go, not necessarily where you're being called to. And the Lord has put this business onto your heart for a reason. If you have this business now in operation, it's because He has called you to steward the resources, the time, the people that you're employing to be able to serve the kingdom better. The person that is right now with an unclear vision within their business, they may be leading the business in their vision. And yeah, it's their vision nonetheless, but it may not be necessarily what you're being called to. The good thing about this is the more that you can be open and clear about what the vision within the business is, the more alignment you can bring into the picture. So let's talk about that. Because in order to bring alignment into the picture, you must, number one, give people the values that's going to help them develop that vision. Like, what are the how-tos? I want to take a look at this, take a look at it like this. If you have a blueprint, the blueprint to building a house, that's the vision. So you have an idea. I fast forward 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, this is my vision for what my business will look like. Okay, that's the blueprint. That's the vision. However, you then have the next part. How are you going to build that blueprint, that house? This is where values come really powerfully into the picture, because values serve as the how-tos. Values give the team, your employees, the operational day-to-day in the behavior in which they show up. So let's say, for example, someone shows up into the office. Maybe it's a client, maybe something happened with a deliverable that wasn't properly completed. The way in which the team responds to that is going to be given by the values that are in place, or they're going to react by the lack of. So what are some values? How do you want the team to operate? If, let's say, a task wasn't completed correctly, do you want there to be clear, open communication? Do you want there to be integrity? Do you want there to be honesty? How do you want your team to operate? And this is literally something that if companies don't have in place, it's robbing your team members right now energy, because they have to think about how they want to operate. And again, your role as a leader, it's like they're getting into your ship. You are the captain. This is the ship upon which you are all moving in to get to your destination. So remember, it's a two-way street between vision and values. Without a clear vision of where you're going, there's going to be no direction. Or you have multiple people going in multiple directions. And if you're chasing too many rabbits at once, you're not going to catch any of them. So you must be really cognizant of creating a vision that it is in alignment with where the team is going. And what this also does, which is a really powerful tool, it's going to help you attract the right people for the business, because you're going to start to understand that maybe this person that I'm speaking to, they seem to have the right skill sets, they seem to have the right attitude, but it doesn't seem like they actually see with the vision that we have. And maybe you haven't properly communicated different opportunity for you to grow. Maybe you have. And if this person doesn't seem bought into that, they may be excited for maybe a month, maybe 2, maybe 3, but a year from now, if they're not bought into that vision, they're not going to be engaged to the level that they could. They're not going to be performing at the ability that they have been given the chance to. And this is why it's so important. The clearer the vision, the higher the engagement. the more clear the values, the more deeply rooted into the engagement. Why? Because it gives them the operational how-tos. And I'm not saying how-tos in the operations of the systems and processes in the business. No, I'm saying the operational and behavior. And your role as a leader is really simple. You are managing energy. We as humans, we're funny. We're humans that are walking around unaware of how much the emotion and the feelings that we walk through impact the way that we act. Because what we focus on gives us emotions, the emotions give us the feelings mean action. Your role is to make sure that you are giving as clearly as possible to your team the right lenses so they can see things from a perspective that's going to give them the empowerment so they can then go ahead and take the actions on. Otherwise, again, we're going to be left up to the world to tell us how things operate. And you know what the world does. Not necessarily the best thing. Let's take a look next at this North Star, this idea of having a North Star. And there's a book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. It got rebranded to, I believe, called Scaling Up. Phenomenal book. Highly recommended if you haven't checked it out. There's a really key theme in that book, and it's this idea of quarterly goals. You have a quarterly theme, and within the quarterly theme, you set in place quarterly goals. Now, why is that important? Because if you have a really big goal that you want to accomplish in the next year, and you're not breaking that down into smaller chunks, it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to try to eat the whole burger in one bite. Sure, maybe you can do it, but how safe is it? How sustainable is that going to be in the long term? The more that you can create the themes and the quarterly goals, the more you can break down the goals that you have for the team and the organization, the more the team is going to be able to operate on a day-to-day. The more that they're going to have those small little wins that, look, the small little wins in the long term create the big victories. If you're not celebrating the small wins on an ongoing basis, your team is going to forget them, because we as humans are more than likely looking at what's wrong. And it's not even anything wrong with us. It's just the way in which our mind works. This supercomputer of a brain is focused on one thing, and it's not to thrive, it's to survive. It's looking at everything that could be going wrong. So if we're leaving it up to this to get direct and guide our focus, we're in trouble. This is why having meetings on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, to go over what's going on within the company, to acknowledge the victories, what has been a win, what are some clients that are seeing some awesome success, how are people showing up better within the organization. All of these small things are going to really make a massive impact for you and your business. Again, your role is now to make sure that you are setting in the proper vision. And as you have these quarterly themes connected with the quarterly vision, it's going to give you much more clarity. And rest assured, wherever there is a lack of clarity, there's a lack of performance. If you are not giving your team clarity, they're not going to be performing to the level that they could. You're not giving them the opportunity for them to show up in the way that they could. Give them that chance. Because from there, you're going to do something really powerful. You're going to be building leaders, not followers. And that's what you want to create. You want to create a culture driven by leadership, a culture where people are really bought into the vision of the business in such a big way, where it's almost like it's their business. A really big common mistake that business owners make is they think that everybody sees the vision of the business like they do, that they treat it like they do. Now, some people are just going to work because they need to make some money. Now, that person that is just going to work to make some money, that could be one of the highest performing people in the team when that vision is actually integrated into theirs, and they see that the business is an opportunity for them to get to their vision. What you do there is you create another leader. You're empowering the person that is next to you, the person that you've never necessarily seen taking initiative, actually take up ownership, take up responsibility, go above and beyond. I've heard it time and time again. You have a really good employee who's really plugged in, really well dialed, and something happens and they start to get turned off. Too many of those. I had a conversation with a friend the other day where he was promised a certain level of commission once he got to a certain level of sales. He got to the certain level of sales. Well, interestingly enough, just the day prior, they had changed the policies. They hadn't communicated, so he wasn't able to get that extra bonus commission. He tells me, Sebs, this is not the first time something like this happens. I said, okay, so what are you going to do about it? He said, I don't know. I think I'm going to start looking somewhere else. That is the impact of not being the person that is creating leaders. Because in that scenario, if the leader would have actually honored his word, not only would it have developed leadership in my friend, it also would have had my friend completely be bought in again. It's a recurring cycle. You must remember that people are not bought in on an ongoing basis forever. They need to be reminded why they're bought in. And if you're the leader that has not have a meeting with your current reports, people that report to you, to share with them the vision of the department, the vision of the business, the vision of what they could do within the business in their lives if they were to take it as their own, rest assured, you are not bringing that level of potential up. You're leaving it like it is. And you ever see a cardiogram that's flat? You know what that means? No, we want to have something that is stagnant, that is dynamic, not stagnant. And when you feel the lows, that's okay. In the lows, the team grows the most. In the lows, you get to actually develop character. In the lows, the values that you have put in place in your business are going to come in really handy. So let's just recap really quick to make sure that you're doing the proper things to get yourself out of being the manager and into that visionary leadership. Create the vision for the team. Have the necessary values and vision within the team as a whole so you can then create a direction for where you're going. Bring clarity into the picture. Create quarterly themes. And within those quarterly themes, create quarterly goals. A quarterly theme, for example, could be, we're going to focus in on just Google Ads in this quarter. Okay, we're going to optimize Google Ads. In the next 90 days, all we're going to be focusing in on is optimizing Google Ads. But what about Meta? That's okay, we'll get there next. Because what happens then is you have one system optimized that's running, generating good revenue, good leads. You then do another one with this one already operating, you just doubled. But what happens a lot is business owners, they kind of just go from one to the other without actually deeply planting one. So because they're giving attention to multiple rabbits, they're not necessarily optimizing on what they could. Now, in the world of AI and in the world of technology, this can be done much faster. So maybe you don't need a whole 90 days for, let's say, Google Ads. But maybe you say, okay, in the next 90 days, we're going to focus in on our paid marketing. That involves Google, Meta, TikTok, LinkedIn, if you're doing that, maybe even YouTube ads, whatever you're doing. But the idea with this is you see the clarity. There is a theme for that quarter, and within that theme of the quarter, we're then going to break down that goal into monthly goals, and then the monthly goes into weekly, and then weekly to daily. You want to get really clear as to what those goals are because it's going to help the team take small little chunks out of the burger. If you get the analogy, it's much easier to take a big task and tackle it little by little than to take a big task and try to do it all at once, because the mind can't properly perform at that level. It gets overwhelmed. So break it down. And then finally, make sure that you're building leaders, not just followers within the organization. Create the necessary structures internally where people feel like they can grow within the company and that they're taking the initiative on an ongoing basis that has them treating the business like it's their own. When they take ownership for their role, for their department, for the company, it's going to make your role as the business owner that much easier. Why? Because you know you have another person that's fully bought into the vision. If you find this value, super excited, go down below. There's going to be a link. There's an assessment that is particularly on understanding what is your leadership style. When you understand your leadership style, it's going to give you better clarity as to how you could move forward within the organization. Having this clarity on an ongoing basis is going to support you in rapidly growing the organization, helping the business grow, and helping you get to the next level of success. Till next time.